Hello friends, welcome to Developers Tube channel. My name is Ismail Saudagar and today in this video we are going to discuss about MVC overview. The full form of MVC is Model View and Controller and it is used for creating the web applications. So let's go to our topic. So what is Model View and Controller? As I have told you, it is an architectural pattern. Architectural pattern means a pattern or a methodology that defines that how should an application created, what part should be there, where should be the business logic code, where should be the UI code, user interaction code, and where should be our view code means the UI code. So these are separated in MVC and that's why we call it as architectural pattern. So MVC includes controller, model, and view. Or we can say model, view, and controller. So controller is generally a class in MVC web application that handles the user interaction. Means when anybody requests a web application, the request goes to the controller. Means uh, I am telling you only the overview, means not in detail, but actually first it goes to the controller, and before going to the controller, it generally the application checks first in the route table and then matches, interpret the request, and then it matches the control appropriate controller and action method, and then its instance is created. And after creating the instance gets executed, means particular action method gets called and it returns the view. So we will see our application page in the browser. So what is action method here? A class contain number of methods. So action method is a type of method which returns view is different type of results that can be seen on our web page. Now what is model? Model are generally classes which contains business logic or it represents the database table. So there are many types of models. Mainly some models contain business logic and some model represents the database table as a class. Now we'll go to view. So what is a view? As the name suggests, it is the user interface, means the view is an HTML file which we see in our browser. It contains like HTML controls, number of text boxes, buttons which we see on the page, and the view also contains the JavaScript or client-side coding which we use for performing client-side validation of data, like suppose some name is required or mobile number is required or any field which is required and we want that validation should be done before sending to the server, then in that case we use here JavaScript for validation. And there are other purposes of JavaScript also. For Ajax calling, we also use JavaScript, jQuery. The next topic is routing here in the overview of MVC topic. Routing means interpreting a URL. Means interpreting a URL means when a request goes from client to the server, means when I try to access a web application from my browser and it is based on MVC, then first that particular URL which I am putting there is interpreted and it MVC checks the compiler or the server side, it is checked that the particular controller action method is present in our routing table or not. If it is present, then the particular page is written back related to that particular controller and action method in short. So this is a routing phenomena. After that, we will see some important project files which an MVC application contains. So now I will move to Visual Studio and I have my personal project which is based on MVC, and here I am showing you it is based on .NET framework, not .NET Core. In my Visual Studio, you can see that I am having a project. Name of the project is Sales, and this is I have made this project on I think .NET Framework 4.8. You can see the target framework is .NET Framework 4.8, that is the legacy. But nowadays .NET Core is used. So the name of my project is Sales and it is an MVC web application. You can see here in my project, there are number of files and this is MVC web application project. As I have told you, it is a model view and controller project. So it contains controller classes, models and views and various other required files as well. So here you can see I'm having one controller folder and in that controller, there are number of classes ending with the name controller. As I have already told you that there are various controllers, account controller, customer controller, custom details controllers, home controller, etc. I will go to product controller. So you can see that product controller, it is a class generally, and it is inherited from base controller class. That is controller class, which is a base class. And by using that base class, we are creating our class, means the derived class here, product controller. I'm creating by inheriting it from controller. If you are not aware about inheritance, then you can go to my number of videos are there which I have created on inheritance. So you can watch what is inheritance in C sharp. And the programming language which I am using in my project here is C sharp language. Because in .NET framework nowadays widely only C sharp is used. 99% you can see. So this is my controller class, product controller class, and it contains number of methods. As you can see here, index method, details method, then create method, then product method. So these methods are action method generally, as they are returning action result as a return type. So this is about controller and is responsible for request and response. Means request comes to the controller, then appropriate action, it is interpreted, then appropriate action method which is present in the URL gets executed and it takes the data from the by using the model classes, and then it gives this data to the view and returns the view. Now I will go to models here. So this was about controller. Now models. In the models folder, there are a number of models and these are general classes. So this is my account model class. This is my account model class. This is customer detail partial class. Customer detail, and it contains the properties which determines. So this is a DTO, data transfer object. Okay, so when I want to send my data back, so I create this type of models. Like, and some models are related to our table. Like here I have model.edmx and it contains number of classes. Is here I have used in entity framework database first. So database first means from the database, it fetches the tables and converts it into the form of classes. So like here when I go, you can see that cart.cs. So this cart is actually a table in my database and contains number of properties like cart item count, product name, product price. So these represents the columns in the database. Here I'm having customer details table, then product.cs. So this product also here, my class which represents a table. So this is about models and some models which contains business logic. Now I will discuss about views. So views are generally HTML files. And here Razor view we generally use. In Razor we can write this HTML dot anti-forgery token validation for and HTML dot validation summary. Sorry. So these are the helpers, HTML helpers we call it here. And like you can see HTML dot editor for, so it will represent one text box on the UI. That text box will contain will have the name as product name. It is for product name. There will be a text box, and also I can put a validation message for this is also a helper. And if suppose there is some validation error and I want to show that in front of the text box below the product name text box, then I can show it into by using validation message. For it will create one a label there, or any field HTML field will be there that will contain the particular message. If I go to definition of product name, you can see here, this is my product view model. This is a DTO. So it contains product ID, product name, and also you can see here display name, buying price. If I want to show some different name to this buying price, so here there is no space, but here I am giving space. So I use this annotations, and also you can see this required here error message, please enter buying price. So if suppose anybody is not entering any price and if he clicks submit or any button, So in this message will be shown, and for showing this message, we are using this validation message for helper. These are the HTML helper. You can see that here HTML helper. HTML sales.models.product view model dot validation message for. So this is the helper. Now we'll see what other files we have in our MVC application. So you can see here app start folder is there. In app start folder, there is a route config. So in the route config file, the mechanism of route means how the routing will be done. There is a two methodologies are there. One is default routing mechanism. Another one is attribute based routing, which we will discuss later. So here in default, what happens when any request comes to the application on the server, then this this is checked. First it checks the controller name, then action name, and this ID if it is present in the URL. This is optional, but controller name and action name is mandatory. So this is very important. Route.config, and here bundle config is also there. It is used for bundling our number of script files, because bundling and minification is also one concept here in MVC. Now I will show you web.config file. So web.config file is the main file, and it contains the setting related to the our application, and it also contains the connection string. Here in the connection string, we specify that where is our database, how to connect to it, what is the name of the server. Here a data source properties that I have given name of the server. Then initial catalog represents the database name, like I have given smile sales, and there are some other details like username, password, or how. So it is also very much important. Right. So this is about MVC web application. I will run this. And actually one more thing here, global.asx is also very much important. So it contains application start method, and that application start method, when gets executed, it registers if areas are present. If suppose the application is very big, I can add one area, and that area, like if I want to add area, so the particular area means it can, suppose I'm having one module for finance. So finance related controller, action method, controllers, their models and views, I can group into one. So it is good for doing maintenance of the application. We have to here register the web API config related details. Then we here register global filter. Filters are the concept. We register here filter. Then we register the routes. Then bundling related things done here. Then auth config dot register auth. These methods, it gets executed when the application starts. So this is the overview of the MVC application. In the next video, we'll start our .NET Core. With this in parallel, we'll also start client-side coding like JavaScript. And each week I will send some videos related to JavaScript, and I'll create one playlist separate for JavaScript. So you can also go there and you can enhance your knowledge. And at last, I want to say that thank you and bye.